Hello FlossTube, my name is Janine. This is a channel about cross stitch, so thank you all for joining me. And this is my very first FlossTube, so I will try to do at least a little bit as well as some of the other many wonderful FlossTubers that I enjoy. So a little bit of background. My name is Janine. I live in Nevada. I have been cross stitching on and off for most of my life. I also design under the name The Blue Flower, so everyone has been very supportive of that, and I greatly appreciate that. This is, again, my very first floss tube, and I wanted to address just briefly why I'm doing a floss tube now during difficult, very difficult times for all of us. This does make me very anxious, and so it's something that I wanted to put off for as long as I possibly could, but I have decided to do it now for two reasons. First, that I think these days are going to require a lot of courage from all of us in a lot of various ways, and I am trying to practice demonstrating some of that courage in a small way by doing something like this that makes me quite nervous, so that when it's time for something that really matters, I will have exercised that bravery a little bit. The other thing is that for so many of us, I know cross stitch is a mental health tool. It helps to soothe us, it helps to settle our spirits when times are difficult and when they're good, but so that we can resettle our souls, gain a little perspective, gain a little joy. We all need those joyful moments, and then get back to regular life again. So that's the reason that I am here today, and that's why I'm going to talk about cross stitch for as long as I can manage this first time. So I don't yet have a format. I'm trying out a few things to see what works and what doesn't, and shamelessly nicking from some other people. Sorry about that. So I'm going to start with what I'm stitching on. I have more than these two whips that I'm going to show, but I didn't want to go through everything today, and so I'm going to keep it short. The first one is Auspicious Hope by Lottie Da, which I love. This is a great pattern. Just doing everything backwards to result. There we go. Okay, this is such a great pattern and something that I think really applies to what we need to hear today. The main change that I made in this was adding this fantastic Gloriana thread called Grape Arbor. I picked it up at Market this year, and I just love it. It's got all of these wonderful reds and blues and greens and purples and browns all together. So that's the thread that I used to put around the outside on this little floral border. Let's see, going backwards. There we go, back into the center. Okay, so you can see these flowers here all done in that Grape Arbor thread, and then I changed all of all of the thread. I'm just using silks from my stash that coordinate with that particular Gloriana. And then it's stitched on chalkboard linen from X2 Design in 40 count, which has been delightful to work with. I sometimes struggle with the darker colors because they can be a little bit hard to see. But this, I think, is a great balance between not too dark that it's hard to see, but dark enough that it really sets off the pattern pretty well. I keep drifting off to the side, so get back there. Put me on this side. Perfect. So that's where I am on that one, and I am really enjoying it. Next one that I'm going to show today, this might be a brief floss tube, but that's okay, is the Scarlet House, Anne Long 1826. Love this pattern. Going backwards here, it's a little hard to see, so I may take it out of the bag there so we can get a better look. And actually, it's a little bit of a funny story on this one. When I first came out as a designer in 2018, and I went to Acorns and Threads for their fall fling, and had an evening at the shop where people were meeting me as a designer for the first time. So of course, being me, very, very anxious. But since we were in the shop, I always find it's really helpful to have something like cross stitch, not only to talk about, but also something to hold in my hand. And so I was doing little circles around the shop and picking things up to have something in my hand, because it helps me to relax and stay a little bit centered. And they had given me a little space in the back room where I could make a pile of things that I wanted to buy at the end of the event, so that I didn't have to go stop and stand in line during the event and not talk to people, since that's what I was there to do. But I kept going around in circles around the shop, and Acorns and Threads is so wonderful. You're always seeing something new, so that wasn't a problem. But I came across this pattern, and long 1826, and I really particularly love, I can see it here, this brick house that's not a traditional color. I love that it's more like the stone brick house. I love the blue fence going all the way across here. I love the blue bench. I particularly like the verse because, you know, we know how much the verse means in a sampler that you're choosing, because you're going to spend so much time with it, stitching it, and then hopefully looking at it on your wall. But it's all about bees. You know, I love bees. So I picked this up, I put it in my stack, and I went back around through the store, looking around, talking to people. And my brain gets a little bit weird when I'm around a lot of people, so parts of it are just kind of checked out. You know, figures in the ears, la la la. But anyway, I ended up picking up this chart 3 separate times and carrying it to my stack and realizing that I already had it, and then going back out into the store, putting it back, talking to some more people, looking at this chart, saying, oh, that's great, picking it up again, carrying it to my stack. So I think it was definitely destined that I had to stitch that one, since it penetrated my mental fog 3 times. So here's my progress so far. I'm stitching this on 40 count bittersweet linen from Lakeside, and as always, it's a little bit tough to get super great read with the lighting in here. It's a little bit pink, which can be hard to see, but I love it. I love the house. I've got all the bricks done on the house. I just need to finish filling in the white in between, and I've made some good progress on the fence. This border goes pretty quickly, even though it's a little bit unusual, not a ton of repeats. You have to count everything, and then I'm going to stick, I think, since this corner is a little bit cut off on the design, or there isn't really anything there, I think I'm going to put my initials and the date in there. So that's where I am on those. So that's my whip work for this week. I have loved seeing what everyone is doing for Mania. I have not done any Mania. I had great plans for doing Steph Lindy Stitch's Stitch Sania, but alas, I was just working on models and didn't get to do any fun stitching in Mania. But hopefully soon I'll be able to get back to these whips. I know Auspicious Hope is so close to done. I really want to finish that one. So, moving on to Happy Mail. I got a couple of things this week. All these shops doing floss tubes for the first time is delightful, although awful for my budget because, you know, you get to practically be in the shop and see all the things. And, ooh, I could do that. For some reason, now that we're home, I have this idea that I'm going to have tons of stitching time, which isn't true. Nothing has changed. But yeah, I've been sucked into quite a few purchases of very large projects, which take me a while to do, but like all of us, I suppose. So first, Sassy Jack Stitchery. I got 2 things from them. I got the Brenda Gervais Project Quarantine Stay Home and Stitch for obvious reasons, because it's beautiful, and I think I could actually fit this in and get it done. I love it. I love the way there's a little embroidery hoop in the middle with the design. Yeah, I love everything about it. So I'm going to do that one hopefully very soon. And then with that one came this awesome little plate from Sassy Jack's, Stitch and Be Well, with this great squirrel on it. So I had planned to do the Brenda Gervais as a pillow, but I think I will use this for one of the other Stitch and Be Well things that I'm going to stitch up. Absolutely, 100%, because now I have this awesome plate, so I have to get that done. The other thing I got from Sassy Jack's was the Biedermeier sampler from Needlework Press, and it's a little bit outside my usual stitching zone. I know I will definitely be changing the colors because that's kind of how I roll, and also because I like them a little bit more intense, and they're showing the original out here. I think the back may be a little bit more like what I'll end up choosing, but I may just go crazy, get drunk with power, and change everything and make it all totally different. I would bet on that being the outcome. Anyway, they also sent this awesome little Sassy Jack's corner gauge, so you can see from them, but the handy ruler for your 2 and 3 inches in. so I won't have to get out my sewing ruler every time. That's nice. All right, other bit of happy mail from Lindy Stitches. Got a couple of things here. I got Birds to the Boughs because it's wonderful, and Steph and her birds are wonderful. A little bit of a reflection on this one, but I know everyone's seen this, so I'm not going to take it out. But particularly, you know, the last couple months have been tough, and I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful partner at home. And so, you know, you really appreciate having partnership and in these times. So I thought this was definitely the time for this chart to happen. I don't know that I will use the same color ideas because I tend not to, but look at those little flamingos and gorgeous heart and all of it. Yeah, that's just great. So I'm looking forward to that. The next thing that I did is, or bought, is Emily's House. I've seen a lot of wonderful things from this one. Again, a little bit of glare, but you do it. But the verse on this, speaking for the people who are powerless or animals who are powerless, and speaking out for those who can't speak for themselves, is just something that particularly resonates these days. I also, look at the cat lying on the roof there, and the other cat sitting on the roof. We have 2 cats, and when we lived in Portland, we lived in an older neighborhood with shorter houses. They were constantly, I would drive down the neighborhood and look at the top of people's houses on top of the roof, and there would be one of our 2 cats. And people would come to our front door and say, hey, I was cleaning my gutters and I found this cat collar and it has your address on it, because we always got the breakaway collars. But yes, our cats left dozens of collars. I think people are probably still finding cat collars in the neighborhood with our name and address on it. So one last thing from Steph. When I got her mail, she drew me a picture on the envelope of a greyhound because I like greyhounds. Look at that. And it's a cool greyhound wearing sunglasses because, you know, it's sunny out. That's awesome. So very excited about those things. And that's my happy mail. Next thing, The World Around is my tentative name for this section of upcoming FlossTubes. We'll see how well it works, how well we like it. But I have actually a medical condition, so I can't be in the sun. But it means that I spend a lot of time indoors. And so I'm fortunate to live in a place where there's a lot to see just in my yard here in northern Nevada. We have a lot of different birds. I haven't lived here very long, so it's a lot of different birds from what I'm used to seeing before. So it took me a while to be just, oh, I'm driving to the grocery store. There's an eagle on that tree, a real eagle, like bald head eagle. Anyway, they don't unfortunately come to our yard, but we do get a lot of birds. And so I got this book. It's a field guide to the Sierra Nevada. I'm hoping that will help me to identify some of the things. And in particular, I'm trying to identify a bird that is living in our eaves. They've been feeding in our yard for quite a while, along with a lot of other birds, but they have built a nest. And I have a picture, which if I can figure out the video editing software, will be inserted on one of these sides. And hopefully, maybe someone will know what it is. I think I've narrowed it down to maybe one of the flycatchers, but it's quite small. It's only about, you know, this tall. And I would just really like to know, not because it matters, but because I always like to know. All right. Last thing for this FlossTube, which is going to be quite short, although not as short as I feared. So my best thing this week, again, shamelessly nicking from other people, which I really appreciate. I have engaged the services of a lovely professional woman named Lisa Erickson. She runs Lisa Erickson Design, and she has done a revamp of my website to make it more clear, to make parts of it work a little bit better, and she's done a marvelous job. I would love it if people would check that out, and if you're in need of having website revamping, I would definitely recommend her as a resource. Again, if I can figure out the video editing, I will put her information here as well as the website. The main driver of the revamp was that I wanted to add a section, which I have in fact added, and again, when I say I mean Lisa, but it's called Stitching in Action. So if you go to my website and you click on Stitching in Action, you'll see a number of photographs from people who have stitched one of my designs or are in the process of stitching one of my designs. And then you can see if they've changed things, if they've changed the linen, if they've changed the threads, if they've done something different with finishing, if they stitched it as it was. Just, I love the way people change things. I love seeing different options. I know it's really interesting to see sometimes just that a fabric color completely changes your perception of a design. And so if you email me pictures of stitching that you've done on one of my designs and give me the information that you'd like up there, I will put it on the website for everyone to see so we can really celebrate all of the awesome creativity in this community. So that's it for today. Very brief, but it's my first effort out of the gate. I hope you enjoy it. If there's something that you would like me to talk about on a future FlossTube, or if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you all for listening today, and happy stitching!